Tonight on the Beaver News, the OSU basketball team has an impressive outing. Then update on shots fired at the White House. China has success with its latest mission to space, and of course your local weather update. That and all that and more right here on the KBVR.
Good evening and welcome to your Thursday night edition of the Beaver News. We're glad to have you with us. I'm Mackenzie Allen.
And I'm Spencer Smallwood. According to Oregon State Craig Robinson, Hofstra University woke a sleeping giant in Jared Cunningham Wednesday night at Guild Coliseum. Cunningham erupted for a career high of 35 points and paced Oregon State to an 82-72 victory in front of a crowd over 3,800. Oregon State cruised to 33 and 24-point victories in its first two games, but became apparent in the early stages of Wednesday night's contest that Hofstra would represent much more of a challenge than Cal State Bakersfield or West Alabama Cunningham, whose previous career high was 24, was 11 for 16. The field and made 12 free throws. Cunningham wasn't the only Beaver to play assertively Wednesday. Sophomore forward Devin Collier was almost brought the basket down on several occasions already this year, scored a career high 25 points. Robinson was more pleased with his guys' performance against a Hofstra team that finished second in the Colonial Athletic Association a year ago.
On Tuesday, the Oregon State University Pride Center hosted an event to show their true colors through tie-dye. Anna-C. Bushemin of the Daily Barometer reports that the goal of the event was to draw attention to the colors and flags associated with the LGBTQIA community. While participants were waiting for their shirts and other garments to be completed, the center provided them with further information on the origins and symbology behind the colors they were using.
On any college campus, just like any community, issues of sexual harassment and violence unfortunately continue to be a problem. To help deal with these issues, the Office of Student Conduct has hired a Title IX compliance coordinator. The Daily Barometer reports that although Oregon State University has not encountered an overwhelming amount of sexual violence cases, it remains a problem in need of a solution. With an office in the basement of career administration and student career services, Director of Student Conduct Dan Schwab and his office thought OSU would benefit from having a specified position for Title IX compliance and community liaison coordination. With the demand to tend to the compliance of the Title IX and the interactions between residential community of Corvallis and OSU, Schwab and his office thought Shannon His gentle and intellectual nature would be a perfect fit. Officials officially signed to the job October 3rd in order to provide a summary to the Conduct Committee, which decides on how cases of sexual harassment should end. His meets with students accused of sexual harassment, writes up reports of facts, diversion, and is then able to provide a comprehensible summary of to the Conduct Committee. Along with working with sexual harassment cases, His also acts as the community liaison coordinator. The Student Conduct and Community Standards urge students to stop by if they or their friends have been confronted with issues of sexual harassment. Their basement is located in the basement of Career Administration Building in room B058.
As part of this year's Dad's Weekend, Delta 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 Sorority will be raising funds and awareness for St. Jude's Children's Hospital by hosting a pancake breakfast Sunday morning in the Memorial Union Ballroom. Tori Santini of the Daily Barometer reports that Tri Delta raised nearly $30,000 for St. Jude's last year and were able to get all of the food donated for this year's event. Breakfast will begin at 10:30 a.m. and will run until 1:30 p.m. and will be all you can eat with a $7 charge per person. This event is open to the public and not restricted to just members of Greek life.
Last night, representatives from Oregon State University, Corvallis City Council, and members of the Corvallis community gathered at the Corvallis Senior Center for an open town hall meeting. The Daily Barometer reports that the topic of the evening was the growth of OSU's student population and the relationship between the university and the Corvallis community. The meeting began with a brief introductory statement by Mayor Julie Manning and OSU President Ed Ray. Mayor Manning focused on the importance of the relationship between OSU and the Corvallis community. She highlighted that OSU provided approximately 8,000 family wage jobs to the community, far more than any other business or institution in the area. Manning said, quote, "The focus of the collaborative work with OSU is to ensure that we thoughtfully plan to get together to help ensure the long-term viability of the quality of life we all value," end quote. OSU President Ed Ray addressed OSU's aspirations to become one of the country's top land-grant universities, as well as Corvallis citizens' concerns that this goal will lead to an extreme enrollment increase in the coming years. While he cited that the average enrollment of the top 10 land-grant universities is 39,000, he also stated that OSU would like to tamp down its enrollment growth to 2 to 3% per year.
The stock market ended today on a down note, with all three major American indexes reporting losses. The Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 134.86 points, while the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 reported losses of 51.62 and 20.78 points respectively. Though they opened well today at around 12:30 Eastern Time, all fell to a sharp decline and were unable to make any substantial rebound. In addition to the indexes, several companies also experienced similar declines, including Google, who closed down 1.73%, while Apple and General Electric each closed down nearly 2%. We're heading into our first break of the evening, but we'll have your national stories as well as an update on the weather when we return. Stay tuned, you won't want to miss it.
Pants. I am folding the pants. The pants are long. Do they go on my head? Do they? Do the pants go on my head? No. They go on.
Everyday moments can become teaching moments because learning starts long before school does. Give your child the start they need at bornlearning.org.
So you can't save money? That's easy as pie. Brown bagging lunch instead of going out. $6 save times 5 days a week times 10 years is $21,000. That's a lot of lettuce. Small changes today, big bucks tomorrow. Feedthepig.org.
Hair loss. Now this rash on my face, what's going on?
For answers, ask your doctor the right question.
Could I have lupus?
Oh, those boys are much too much. Those boys are much too much. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We're going to beat them and bust them. Beat them.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Let's get a little bit rowdy. R-O-W-D-Y.
Take time to be a
One
dad
more
today.
time. Oh, those boys are much too much. Those boys.
When I have an asthma attack, I feel scared. Sometimes my parents have to take me to the hospital. I feel like a fish with no water.
You know how to react to their asthma attacks. Here's how to prevent them. Call 1-866-NO-ATTACKS. Visit www.noattacks.org or call your doctor. Because even one attack is one too many.
Welcome back to the Beaver News right here live on KBVR. A nondescript white warehouse building in Southern California hid a sophisticated drug smuggling tunnel that traffickers used to transport tons of marijuana from Mexico into the United States, authorities said. Investigators on both sides of the border seized more than 14.5 tons of marijuana in connection with the tunnel's discovery this week. Authorities said the drugs had a street value of more than $25 million. CNN reported that authorities found a 3-foot wide tunnel that stretched the length of 4 football fields and was equipped with structural supports, electricity, and even ventilation. Highway troopers found 3 tons of marijuana packed into boxes inside a cargo truck that they stopped after it had left the San Diego warehouse. That discovery allowed agents to obtain a warrant to enter the warehouse. U.S. federal authorities have found more than 75 cross-border smuggling tunnels in the past 4 years, most of them located in California and Arizona.
We reported yesterday that bullets were found to have been shot at the White House and that a suspect, Oscar Romano Ortega Hernandez, had been placed into custody. CNN is now reporting that Ortega Hernandez has been charged with attempting to assassinate the president. Ortega Hernandez was arrested after his car was found several blocks from the White House, containing a semi-automatic rifle, several boxes of ammunition, and 9 spent shell casings. Today, one witness identified only as W-4 told investigators that Ortega Hernandez, quote, has increasingly become more agitated against the federal government and is convinced that the federal government is conspiring against him, end quote. According to the witness, Ortega Hernandez has also referred to President Obama as the Antichrist and said that he wanted to hurt him. If convicted, he could face a maximum sentence of life in prison along with a $250,000 fine. It's been pretty rainy around here in Corvallis today, so let's see what the next few days have in store for us as we go to a local weather update from Cassidy Gilroy.
Good evening, Beavers. My name is Cassidy, and I'll be bringing you a forecast tonight. On Friday, we have rain coming in with a high of 42 and low of 31. And on Saturday, it should continue again with a high of 40 and a low of 27. On Sunday, the sun peaks out just a bit, but the sky will still be overcast with a high of 41 and a low of 35. And on Monday, the rain returns yet again with a high of 44 and a low of 39. And again on Tuesday, a high of 46 and a low of 41. So be sure to pack in those heavy jackets and drive safely on those roads. Thank you, and back to you guys.
Man, not only does it look rainy, it looks pretty cold too. Anyways, moving on. Boeing announced today that Indonesia's Lion Air has set a record with a nearly $22 billion order of jets. The U.S. company had previously counted the jets in its sales order, but didn't disclose the buyer until the announcement. The deal, which will be signed Friday at the East Asia Summit in Bali, Indonesia, includes orders for 29 737-900s and a whopping 201 of the new 737 MAXs, along with options for 150 additional future aircrafts for Indonesia's largest carrier. Boeing also announced Thursday that it has committed to a $2.4 billion deal with Singapore Airlines, which has been listed as an unidentified customer since finalizing its order in August.
At least 6 people have been killed after a storm swept across the southern United States. CNN reports that searches began this morning in South Carolina, where 3 have been reported dead. In addition to the casualties in South Carolina, deaths were also reported in North Carolina and Georgia. Mississippi reported several injuries, but none of them life-threatening. Several states across the southeast have also reported downed trees, damage to building, and power outages. As search and rescue operations continue, it is unknown if the number of deaths will increase, though Lieutenant Mike Baker of the York County Sheriff's Office in South Carolina says that it is still a search and rescue mission at this time, and they expect to find survivors.
A complex legal fight over the constitutionality of same-sex marriage is back on track after California's highest court allowed an appeal over the controversial ballot initiative to move ahead in federal court today. At issue is Proposition 8, a voter-approved measure that would recognize marriage only between one man and one woman. A federal judge had earlier struck down the law as a violation of equal protection, prompting an appeal to a higher court. In its ruling today, the state high court agreed. The court's majority said, quote, neither the governor, the attorney general, nor any other executive or legislative official has the authority to veto or invalidate the initiative measure that has been approved by the voters.
Following his arrest for driving under the influence, University of Missouri head football coach Gary Pinkel has been suspended for a week and docked another week's pay, which will be donated to the university's Wellness Resource Center. Pinkel was released on a $500 bail, and his suspension begins today. CNN is reporting that he will also have to issue a public letter of apology, perform 50 hours of community service, forfeit any bonus if his team makes it to a bowl game, and see his salary frozen for a year. In a statement released earlier today, Pinkel said, quote, "Nobody should drink and drive, including me. My staff and I constantly reinforce with each of our players the importance of not putting yourself into a position as this. I did not follow that here, and for that I sincerely apologize to the University of Missouri and our administration, to the Board of Curators, and to our fans," end quote. This is his 11th season as the head coach for the Tigers. We're now going to take our final break of the evening, but we'll have your international stories for the evening, including an update on China's recent space mission. All that and more right here on the Beaver News.
Horseradish. Is that for horses? Remember me, Mr. Lobster? From last Tuesday? Banana. 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 Here comes the rain. We need a hat. And why do we need a hat?
They jot.
That's right.
When you talk with your child, you build vocabulary, and learning starts long before school does. For more tips, go to bornlearning.org.
When you open a book, you can explore new lands, make new friends, and discover new adventures. There are amazing possibilities when you open your mind to reading. Explore new worlds. Read.
Just put your hands up, TV land. Yo. Paradise is lost, I'm paralyzed by the imperative cause. She's sharing a coffin with the gods that I've crossed. And day by day I'm looking for another outlet. I shout, but I've yet to be heard. The fear of flying, broken wings of a bird. The feelings unnerved, absurd with my word. A pseudo-intellectual that's just dying to serve. A fallen angel, fate filled with flaws and misfortune. Claw marks on the side of the well. The people attempts to torture. Swords drawn to the necks of the demons. Another metaphor, me just trying to protect all my feelings. The criminal dealings led us to the brink that's demonic. Born an angel, but I'm bringing back a plate that's bubonic. A profit like the narcotic product you got up in your pocket with more shock value than an electrical socket. The angel act, I dropped it like the sword of that to Loki. So while you're on your deathbed, speak those words that you told me. Come on. You told me, you told me, you told me. You told me, you told me, you told me.
Heart disease must for 5,000 miles average.
If you're in danger of losing your home to foreclosure, call today because nothing is worse than doing nothing.
Have a banana.
Eating well and playing go together like best friends.
You better believe it.
With the food pyramid, the bare necessities of living healthy are easy.
Bare necessities, the simple bare necessities.
So eat right. Be active.
Now move and sit.
And don't forget to have fun. That's the way to be the best.
You're lots of fun, Baloo.
At anything you do. You can go to mypyramid.gov to play some games and find out more.
Welcome back to the Beaver News right here on Channel 26. China's unmanned Shenzhou 8 spacecraft landed on the country's Inner Mongolian region today, ending a mission that saw the nation complete its first space docking, China's state-run Zhizhou news agency reported. CNN reports that the docking is a key step towards Beijing's goal of building a space station. Cheng Wangquan, chief of China's manned space program, said the mission was a complete success. And Chinese Vice Premier Zhang Zhizhong delivered a congratulatory note to the country's from the country's central authorities. Tiangong-1, which China launched in September, will wait in space for 2 months until 2 more Shenzhou docking missions, at least one of which will be manned. Planned for 2012, which is planned for 2012 according to Shenzhou. China launched Shenzhou 8 from Gobi Desert on November 1st.
Authorities in Peru are reopening an investigation into the forced sterilizations of thousands of women under the former president Alberto Fujimori. CNN reports that during his power, Fujimori had doctors tie women's tubes without her consent, and human rights organizations claim to have over 2,000 documented cases, with Victor Cubas, the special prosecutor who reopened the investigation, saying, quote, "The Peruvian Attorney General's office has knowledge of about 2,000 women, but cases of forced sterilization based on the number of people could undoubtedly be larger at the national level. There are many women who I'm sure haven't reported this, and therefore their cases are not yet documented." End quote. Rossi Salazar, a human rights attorney, said that many of the women were from rural areas and either spoke little or no Spanish, and that they didn't understand what they were consenting to or were downright coerced into the procedure. Though nothing can be done to change the past, there is hope that reopening this investigation will offer some chance of justice for the victims.
Italy's new prime minister overwhelmingly won a Senate vote of confidence earlier this evening, hours after presenting his proposal for leading the country out of financial crisis. Mario Monti, who took office Wednesday, said the main points of his program are balancing the budget, promoting growth, and cutting down on social disparities. He also said overhauling Italy's pension system, fighting tax evasion, and cracking down on organized crime will be key steps. CNN reported that Italy's Senate voted 281 to 25 in support of the fledgling government. Monti, who also said that his government is studying some measures to increase revenue, including adjusting real estate and wealth taxes. The new prime minister, who replaces the flamboyant Silvio Berlusconi, had said that the former prime minister is expected to give his first speech as a lawmaker in the lower house of parliament on Friday, according to the Italian media reports. His People of Freedom Party remains the strongest force in parliament, and Berlusconi has said his plans to remain active in it. He will also serve as a finance minister until he nominates someone else for the post.
Leng Thirith, the 78-year-old former Minister of Social Affairs in the Khmer Rouge regime in Cambodia, was ruled unfit to stand trial for her crimes against humanity due to her dementia and may be set free. CNN reports that Leng Thirith was the only woman among the 4 defendants in the trial, which charges surviving leaders of the 4-year Khmer Rouge regime in the 1970s with crimes against humanity, grave breaches of the Geneva Conventions, genocide, homicide, torture, and religious persecution. The other defendants on trial include her husband, Leng Sari, the former Khmer Rouge foreign minister, Kihu Sampyon, the nominal head of state, and Nung Chi, the prime minister. The head of the Khmer Rouge, Pol Pot, died in 1998. The Khmer Rouge was responsible for the deaths of millions of Cambodians, estimated to be around 2% of the population at that time. Prosecutors have 24 hours to appeal the ruling, and if no appeal is made, Lang Thirith will be released.
2 rockets were fired into the Afghan capital on Thursday as President Hamid Karzai met tribal elders to discuss the future of U.S. military presence in the nation, reported CNN. The rockets were fired near the western part of Kabul. The part of Kabul landed near a market, injuring 1 civilian, the Kabul police chief said. Karzai and tribal elders were participating in a national assembly in Kabul to address the long-term pact with the U.S. military and set limits on NATO troops in the nation. The speech appeared designed to boost his nationalist credentials with the domestic audience and was also broadly critical of NATO, saying the intended departure of the troops in 2014 was good for Afghans. NATO plans to withdraw most combat troops by that date, but is negotiating what sort of long-term presence they might have here.
A Marc Jacobs perfume featuring 17-year-old actress Dakota Fanning has been banned in the UK due to what some see as sexualizing a minor. CNN reports that the complaints stem from the short dress worn by Fanning and the position of the perfume bottle that was being held between her legs. The perfume's manufacturer, however, insists that the advertisement did not show any private parts or sexual activity and that it was intended to be provocative but not indecent. In July, the Advertising Standards Agency also banned a cosmetics ad featuring Julia Roberts on the ground that it was too heavily airbrushed. That's all the news coverage we have for you tonight, but be sure to tune in on Monday for more of your local, national, and international news right here on KBVR, and have a good Dad's Weekend, everyone.